This is the point to me. I don't put the loan on my spreadsheet. I want to know, is it a good deal if I paid all cash first? Because leverage is always going to make a deal better. Exactly your point. But I don't want to use leverage to make a deal that's kind of half-assed okay. If I'm going to take the risk of leverage, I want it to take a deal that's already good and make it stupendous. And I think a lot of people go to a leverage spreadsheet right off the bat and never really bother to think, hey, is this really a deal? You know, we got here and we were saying, wow, I'm going to double, or if I'm going to be close to double. That's a deal. So if I decide to use leverage, it's going to be a smoking deal. But how do you know if you've got the debt numbers in the picture from the beginning? It may only be a deal that goes from 600 to 800,000. And you know, if you want to buy that with leverage, then basically you're using the leverage to make that deal good. I'd rather wait on one with a little more juice in it. And that's my personal preference. It doesn't make me right or whatever, but
I think that goes for passive investors too. When you look at people's performance, make sure you're not looking at a levered IRR or a levered return. You're looking at cash on cash, and then if it levers up, what the difference is.
You know, I've been teaching the same thing for years. Same thing, and you know, teaching people who own apartments and people who own rental houses. They go straight to the spreadsheet with leverage, and then I take out the leverage, and I'm like, this house is like a 7 cap. Like, why do you even want to own this? You know, you're going to use the leverage to make it make 12. Well, why don't you find a house that makes 10 or 11 and then use leverage if you feel like it, and then you'll make a return worthy of the risk of having to make that payment every month. But anyway, so that was the point of all that. We're going to move on and talk to boots on the ground, because there's been a lot of discussion on the calls and everything. A lot of people talking about this, and I did this on the call the other night. But I think the easiest way for me to explain how I learned all this is, you know, the usual hard way. When I bought Hinesville came with Terry. She was already there. She actually used to own Hinesville. She's been running that thing off and on for 20 years. She was very good. She knew exactly what to do. The current owner was not allowing her to do it, not giving her any money. A bunch of stuff didn't work. So anyway, I was able to hire her in conjunction with ESS, and she started running the place for me, and I allowed her access to the computer, and she's looking at reports, she's looking at, you know, gate access, and she's doing all, and you know, it's kind of, I didn't really know what I had. And then 3 months later, I bought, with Chris and Mike, we bought Tifton, and there was a guy that we met, Thomas, and we hired him, and I think none of us really took the reins too well early on, and we were just like, oh, dude, you got to clean some units and do some lock audits, and we were real super cash about it, and we got a super cash job from Thomas, because we just didn't write down a detailed job description. We didn't help him understand why all these things were important. We were running everything by text. So if he texted, and he would text Chris and I, and like, who's really like, we just totally messed it up. Yeah, we just totally messed it up. And it was months later before I went to Tifton to run an auction, and I sat down with Thomas, and I was like, here's what you need to do. Here's why you do it. This is why this is important. If I don't know these units are clean and I don't make them active, we're turning down business, you know. And I just kind of ran through the whole thing with them. But we were, I mean, Terry was running 25,000 square feet for me in Hinesville, and I bought that in October, and it was next October, and Gina's like, don't you need to go down there? And I was like, no, you know, why would I'll probably just mess something up. I mean, she was running everything really good. I've only been once. We're about to sell it. It's been 2 years. I've been, other than the 2 or 3 trips to fix everything. We bought it in October, and by December, I didn't go again until about 6 weeks ago. And the only reason I went then is because I had to drive right by it to go see Cooch's place in Jessup, or I still wouldn't have gone back.